Planet of the Apes. The 1968 sci-fi classic delivers the most iconic twist ending in film history when Charlton Heston's character discovers the truth about his location. Released February 8, 1968, Planet of the Apes was directed by Franklin J. Schaffner, with a screenplay by Michael Wilson and Rod Serling, based on the novel by Pierre Boulle. Charlton Heston stars as astronaut George Taylor, who crash lands on what appears to be an alien planet ruled by intelligent apes. After traveling through the Forbidden Zone, Taylor finds the half-buried Statue of Liberty on a shoreline, revealing he's been on Earth the entire time. The planet is heavily implied to be post-apocalyptic Earth, after humanity destroyed civilization through nuclear war. Dr. Zaius knew the truth about human history, and deliberately sealed the cave containing human artifacts, fearing what human knowledge could do to ape civilization. Based on Pierre Boulle's 1963 French novel La Planète des Singes, the film had a budget of $5.8 million and grossed $32.6 million domestically, becoming a major commercial success. The final scene shows Taylor kneeling before the ruined statue, damning humanity for its destruction. This ending redefined the twist reveal in cinema, proving that science fiction could deliver profound social commentary about nuclear anxiety and human self-destruction while providing a shocking narrative payoff that remains culturally relevant decades later. 2001, A Space Odyssey. Stanley Kubrick's 1968 masterpiece concludes with approximately 24 minutes of pure visual insanity that audiences still debate today. Released in April 1968, the same year as Planet of the Apes, it created a landmark year for sci-fi cinema. Directed by Stanley Kubrick, who co-wrote the screenplay with Arthur C. Clarke, based on Clarke's short story The Sentinel, the film takes Dr. David Bowman into cosmic territory. Keir Dullea plays Bowman, who approaches Jupiter's monolith and is pulled into a cosmic tunnel, experiencing reality-bending visuals. He emerges in an ornate bedroom where he ages rapidly, witnessing himself at different life stages. In his final moments as an old man, Bowman reaches toward a monolith at the foot of his bed and is transformed into a star child, a glowing fetus floating in space near Earth. Interpretations suggest that advanced alien entities engineered this transformation, though their exact intentions remain ambiguous. The final shot shows the star child gazing at Earth, suggesting humanity's next evolutionary step or potential replacement. The budget was $10.5 million, grossing $146 million worldwide, though initial reception was mixed. The ending ties thematically to the Dawn of Man sequence, creating a cyclical narrative about tools and evolution. Kubrick famously avoided giving definitive explanations of the ending during his lifetime, creating decades of interpretation and cementing the film as high art that challenges passive viewing. The ending transforms a spaceship thriller into a meditation on human evolution and cosmic insignificance. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. The 1978 remake concludes with one of cinema's most chilling final shots, proving the alien invasion has already won. Released December 22, 1978, the film was directed by Philip Kaufman and stars Donald Sutherland as Health Inspector Matthew Bonnell. Set in San Francisco, the film depicts an alien species replacing humans with emotionless duplicates grown from plant-like pods. Matthew escapes with Nancy Belasek, played by Veronica Cartwright, believing they've survived the pod invasion. In the final scene, Matthew encounters Nancy on the street and emits the piercing, inhuman scream of a pod person, revealing he's been converted. The camera pulls back to show Matthew pointing at Nancy, who realizes she's the last remaining human in a city of duplicates. Leonard Nimoy plays Dr. David Kibner, who becomes a pod person and helps spread the invasion. The budget was $3.5 million, grossing approximately $24.9 million domestically. The ending is significantly bleaker than the 1956 original, which had a more hopeful conclusion. This ending eliminates any hope of human resistance, transforming a thriller into a pure horror film about inevitable assimilation. Critics have noted the final scream became an iconic image of 1970s paranoia and loss of individuality. The Fly. David Cronenberg's 1986 remake ends with the protagonist transformed into a grotesque fusion of man, fly, and machine, begging his lover to kill him. Released August 15, 1986, the film was directed by David Cronenberg and stars Jeff Goldblum as eccentric scientist Seth Brundle. Gina Davis plays journalist Veronica Quaife, who documents Seth's invention of teleportation pods. After successfully teleporting a baboon, Seth drunkenly teleports himself, unknowingly sharing the pod with a common housefly. The machine fuses their DNA at the molecular level, and Seth begins a gradual transformation into Brundlefly. As his humanity deteriorates, Seth's body sprouts insect features, his fingernails fall off, and he develops fly-like behaviors, including vomiting digestive enzymes onto his food. In a desperate attempt to reverse the process, Seth tries to fuse himself with Veronica and their unborn child, but the telepod malfunctions, merging Seth with the pod itself. The resulting creature, barely recognizable as human, crawls from the machine with metal cables trailing from its flesh. Unable to speak, the creature guides the shotgun barrel to its own head, silently begging Veronica to end its suffering. She pulls the trigger, killing the last remnant of the man she loved. The budget was $15 million, grossing $60 million worldwide, and winning the Academy Award for Best Makeup. The ending functions as a meditation on disease, aging, and the inevitable decay of the body. Cronenberg transforms body horror into tragedy, making Seth's death an act of compassion rather than violence, forcing audiences to confront their fears about losing their humanity to forces beyond their control. Cloverfield. J.J. Abrams' 2008 found-footage monster film ends with the protagonist dying as a massive bombing detonates over Manhattan. Released January 18, 2008, the film was directed by Matt Reeves and follows a group of friends documenting a going-away party when a massive creature attacks New York City. Rob, played by Michael Stahl-David, ventures into the disaster zone to rescue Beth, played by Odette Yustman, while his friend Hud films everything on a handheld camera. The military evacuates civilians as the creature, later revealed to be a massive creature of indeterminate size, destroys Manhattan. After rescuing Beth, Rob, Hud, and Lily attempt to escape via helicopter, but the creature attacks mid-flight, killing Hud and causing the helicopter to crash in Central Park. Rob and Beth, wounded and barely mobile, hide under a bridge and record final messages to their families on the camera. The military announces the imminent bombing of Manhattan with the ominously named Hammer Down Protocol. Rob and Beth profess their love as the bomb detonates, and the camera cuts to static. The final moments show earlier footage of Rob and Beth's day at Coney Island, a happy memory now irrevocably destroyed. In the background of this footage, an object falls from the sky into the ocean, which fans have theorized suggests the creature was awakened by a satellite crash. The budget was $25 million, grossing $170 million worldwide. The ending refuses traditional monster movie catharsis. The heroes don't defeat the monster, or even survive to tell their tale. The found footage format makes their deaths feel brutally real, transforming a blockbuster into a document of ordinary people's final moments during an unwinnable apocalypse. By the way, if you're enjoying this so far, I post videos like this regularly. Subscribing would really help me out. Dark City. Alex Proyas's 1998 neo-noir ends with the protagonist discovering the entire city is a space station controlled by dying aliens experimenting on human memories. Released February 27, 1998, the film was directed by Alex Proyas and stars Rufus Sewell as John Murdoch, who awakens with amnesia in a hotel room with a dead woman. Kiefer Sutherland plays Dr. Daniel Schreiber, a scientist forced to serve the Strangers, a race of pale, expressionless aliens who stop time at midnight and rearrange the city while injecting false memories into sleeping humans. John discovers he's developed the Stranger's psychokinetic ability to reshape reality through will alone, a power called tuning. The Strangers are dying and study human individuality, hoping to save their species. Detective Frank Bumstead, played by William Hurt, helps John confront Dr. Schreiber, who reveals that Shell Beach, the idyllic seaside location everyone remembers but no one can reach, doesn't exist. When John tears down a wall to reach Shell Beach, he finds only the void of space, revealing the city is an artificial construct floating in darkness. In the climactic battle, John defeats Mr. Book, the Stranger's leader, using his enhanced tuning abilities. With the Strangers destroyed, John reshapes the city, creating sunlight for the first time and building an actual shell beach with an ocean. He finds his wife Emma, now given the identity Anna, who has no memory of him. They meet on the pier like strangers, beginning a new relationship. The budget was $27 million, grossing only $14.3 million domestically, despite critical acclaim. The ending transforms John from victim into god, replacing one form of control with another. The horror is that, even in victory, human memories remain fabricated, and the relationship John fights to preserve exists only as an artificial construct he must rebuild from scratch. Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines. Jonathan Mostow's 2003 sequel ends with nuclear apocalypse beginning exactly as prophesied, proving the hero's efforts only delayed the inevitable. Released July 2, 2003, the film was directed by Jonathan Mostow and stars Arnold Schwarzenegger, returning as a reprogrammed T-800, protecting John Connor, played by Nick Stahl, and Kate Brewster, played by Claire Danes. The film establishes that Terminator 2 only postponed Judgment Day rather than preventing it. Skynet has evolved from a centralized system into a distributed virus across the internet, making it impossible to destroy. The TX, a liquid metal Terminator played by Kristanna Loken, is sent back to kill John's future lieutenants since Skynet cannot locate John himself. John and Kate believe they can stop Skynet's activation at Crystal Peak, a military facility they think houses Skynet's core. They race against time as Skynet begins launching nuclear missiles globally. When they finally reach Crystal Peak, they discover it's not Skynet's location at all, but a Cold War fallback bunker designed to protect government continuity. Skynet was never centralized and has already activated across the world. The missiles are already in flight. John and Kate seal themselves in the bunker as nuclear explosions begin detonating across the planet, killing billions. The radio crackles with desperate civilians begging for help. John, realizing he cannot stop Judgment Day, but can lead the survivors, begins responding to the transmissions, accepting his destiny as the resistance leader. The budget was $187 million, grossing $433 million worldwide. The ending is remarkably bleak for a summer blockbuster. The heroes fail completely, and the apocalypse they fought to prevent occurs while they watch helplessly. The film suggests that certain futures are inevitable, and even time-traveling cyborgs cannot alter destiny, only delay it. The Mist. Frank Darabont's 2007 Stephen King adaptation ends with the protagonist performing an act of mercy to end the life of his own son, only for rescue to arrive seconds later, making him a murderer who survived. Released November 21, 2007, the film was written and directed by Frank Darabont and based on Stephen King's 1980 novella. Thomas Jane stars as David Drayton, a movie poster artist trapped in a supermarket with his 8-year-old son Billy. Darabont changed King's original ambiguous ending to a far bleaker conclusion that King publicly endorsed and wished he'd written. After escaping in a car, David and 4 others, including his son, run out of gas in the mist, believing death is certain. David uses his 4 remaining bullets to end his son's life and the lives of the other passengers, planning to take his own life but finding he's out of ammunition. Seconds after the shootings, the mist clears and a military convoy with survivors drives past, revealing they were minutes from safety. In the final shot, David screams in horror as a soldier offers him a ride, making him a murderer who survived. The budget was $18 million, grossing $57.3 million worldwide. Frank Darabont recalls Stephen King loving the new ending, comparing its bleakness to Night of the Living Dead. The ending is a meditation on the danger of hopelessness. David's decision, while logically sound in the moment, becomes the ultimate horror, surviving your own act of mercy. The film punishes rational despair, making the audience question whether they would have chosen differently. Watchmen. Zack Snyder's 2009 adaptation concludes with the villain confessing he's already won, making the heroes complicit in mass murder. Released March 6, 2009, the film was directed by Zack Snyder and based on Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons' 1986-87 graphic novel. Ozymandias, also known as Adrian Veidt, reveals his plan to unite humanity by faking an alien attack, killing 15 million people in New York City. The film changes the comic's ending, removing the squid monster, but keeps the core twist. The villain wins. Dr. Manhattan, played by Billy Crudup, agrees to take the blame for the attack, allowing the lie to succeed. Rorschach, played by Jackie Earle Haley, refuses to compromise and is killed by Dr. Manhattan to protect the secret. The final shot shows the diary containing the truth arriving at a newspaper office, leaving the audience uncertain if the truth will be revealed. The budget was $120 million, grossing $185.3 million worldwide. The heroes become complicit in genocide, forced to accept that truth is less important than stability. Rorschach's death represents the death of absolute morality, leaving only pragmatic evil. The ending asks whether peace built on lies is worth the cost. Brazil. Terry Gilliam's 1985 dystopian satire ends with the protagonist's mind shattering under torture, leaving him trapped in a permanent delusion while authorities declare him a lost cause. Released December 18, 1985 in the UK, the film was directed by Terry Gilliam and stars Jonathan Pryce as Sam Lowry, a low-level bureaucrat in a retrofuturistic totalitarian state. Robert De Niro plays Harry Tuttle, a rogue heating engineer operating outside the oppressive bureaucracy. The story begins when a literal bug, a fly, falls into a printer and changes an arrest warrant from Tuttle to Buttle, leading to the wrongful arrest and death of an innocent man. Sam attempts to correct the error, but becomes entangled in red tape and falls in love with Jill Layton, played by Kim Greist, a woman from his recurring dreams. Sam's friend Jack Lint, played by Michael Palin, is revealed to work in the Ministry of Information Retrieval, a torture facility. When Sam is arrested for terrorism, Jack is assigned to interrogate him. During the torture, Sam retreats into an elaborate fantasy where Tuttle and resistance fighters rescue him. His mother transforms into Jill through plastic surgery, and he escapes with Jill to the countryside. They drive off into the sunset in a big rig truck. The film then reveals this happy ending is a delusion. Sam remains strapped to the torture chair, smiling vacantly and humming Aquarela do Brasil to himself. Jack and Mr. Helpman conclude Sam has gone irretrievably insane and abandon him. The budget was $15 million, grossing only $9.9 million in the US, but achieving cult status. The ending is Gilliam at his bleakest. Sam's imagination saves him from physical torture, but destroys his sanity, leaving him alive but permanently disconnected from reality. The film argues that in totalitarian systems, madness may be the only escape, but that escape is indistinguishable from defeat. Source code. Duncan Jones's 2011 thriller ends with the protagonist creating an entirely new timeline, one where he's living in another man's body. Released April 1st, 2011, the film was directed by Duncan Jones and stars Jake Gyllenhaal as Captain Coulter Stevens. Stevens is sent into the last 8 minutes of another man's life to prevent a terrorist attack. The program, run by Dr. Rutledge, played by Jeffrey Wright, is explained as a quantum physics experiment accessing parallel realities. Stevens succeeds, but instead of dying, his consciousness remains in the alternate timeline. He emails Goodwin, played by Vera Farmiga, in the new reality, explaining the many worlds theory has created a permanent alternate universe. The budget was $32 million, grossing $147.3 million worldwide. The ending suggests that death can be escaped by creating new realities, but at the cost of hijacking someone else's life. The technology that saved millions also permanently displaces one man's consciousness. Snowpiercer. Bong Joon-ho's 2013 class warfare allegory ends with the train's destruction and humanity's survival depending on a teenage girl and a 5-year-old boy. Released August 1st, 2013, the film was directed by Bong Joon-ho and based on the French graphic novel Le Transpersonnage. Chris Evans stars as Curtis Everett, leading a revolt from the train's tail section against the elite in the front. The train is a perpetual motion engine carrying humanity's last survivors after a failed climate experiment froze Earth. Namgung Min-soo, played by Song Kang-ho, reveals the ice is melting and suggests leaving the train. The film ends with Yona, played by Ah Sung-ko, and Timmy, played by Mark Anthony Rice, escaping the crashed train, seeing a polar bear in the distance. The polar bear suggests life exists outside the train, but 2 children with no survival skills face an uncertain future. Tilda Swinton plays Minister Mason, the absurdly classist enforcer. The budget was $40 million, grossing $86.8 million worldwide. The ending is simultaneously hopeful and terrifying. Humanity survives, but without any adults, infrastructure, or knowledge of how to live in the frozen world. The train's rigid class system is replaced by pure uncertainty. If you found this valuable, subscribe so you never miss new content. Appreciate you watching.